So for the problem of overthinking decisions is give yourself a decision timer. So you're like, and often, like, even if we know that we're not going to enjoy something, but we know we have to do it, in our minds, it takes far longer than it actually does. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got to do the pots, but I really don't want to do the pots. And I'll probably spend more time thinking about I should do the pots, but I don't want to do them than it actually takes to do the pots. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I do it, and it's funny actually because because I was definitely somebody who spent a lot of time projecting all my insecurities on what other people thought about me. And then probably because of my behavior making people think a little bit like that about me, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because of your own behavior, because what you
that's it. You have to take responsibility for your side as well. Like, are you allowing this to happen? Are you projecting it, but are you allowing it as well? Do you know what I mean?
So for the problem of overthinking decisions is give yourself a decision timer. So you're like, when I make a decision, not major life decisions, though arguably you probably should do the same with that as well. But for general decisions in life, just give yourself 5 minutes. I'm only going to give myself 5 minutes, and then I'm just going to come to a decision, and that's going to be the right one, and then just trust that that's the right one, and in time it might not turn out how you would hoped it would, but you still never know what would have happened if you'd chosen a different choice. So we always presume, this is the funny thing, isn't it, when we make a decision and it goes not as we planned, we feel like we made the wrong decision. But there's nothing to say that if you'd made the other decision that it would have been worse. We just always presume it would have been better, don't we?
So we have to learn to accept everything on our path. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really that it's going wrong. It's just a little bit different than you expected.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes us spiral as well, is the fact that, if it's different to what we see, it means it's not right. Whereas in actual fact, it's actually right for you. It's actually perfectly right for you. It just doesn't look like what you had envisioned.
Yeah. And that's going back to that thing about our brain being like a predicting machine, like a problem-solving predictor, and we want to know exactly what's going to happen. And so often we're like, this is what's going to happen, and then when it doesn't, we feel disappointed. Whereas if we go, this is the decision in the moment that I'm making, and I look forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah, that's it. Be flexible. Yeah, be accepting of the outcome. Because, like, I find, like, if I'm rigid in a certain thing, you do get upset. You do worry, are you on the wrong path, or did you make the right decision? But if you're just completely open and just let it flow, you get excited. It's like an adventure, because it's a nice surprise along the way, and you're learning as you go.
Yeah.
And there's no disappointment then, because you're literally you're excited for the opportunity rather than being fixated on a specific outcome.
Yeah. And it's important to remember, really, that more time to make a decision doesn't make a better decision. It just doesn't. In fact, what it does is it gives space for the thought patterns to come in, and for the multiple, catastrophizing or the self-doubt. So that's why we talk a lot about self-efficacy. I mention it a lot. So self-efficacy is your belief in yourself, in your skill set and your resilience to overcome challenges, and see something through to the goal, even when it gets hard, to keep pushing forward and keep learning and keep adapting. And it's the faith in yourself that you can do that. Now, if you have strong self-efficacy, then the outcome doesn't matter so much, because you're like, well, it might not go exactly to plan, but I'm going to learn something from that, and I'm excited to see where that's going to go, because I know even when it gets tough that I'm adaptable and I can evolve, and something good's going to come out of it.
Because the outcome will always be good, and it's about enjoying the journey as well. Like, that's, we're so fixated on that outcome that if we don't get it, it's the end of the world. But it's actually the journey we're supposed to enjoy. The journey along the way, the the challenges we meet, the lessons we learn. That's the beauty of life, rather than the actual final destination. It is that path along the way that actually we learn the most.
Yeah, and actually, anxiety, fear, all that stuff. That's all future stuff. And if we're in the present, if we're being mindful, if we're being in the present, enjoying the journey, enjoying each step as it opens up, then you're going to be in a much better place. Often people, they become workaholics, or they work towards a goal, and because they've been so fixated on the goal and they finally get there, they weren't enjoying the journey. They were just fixated on this end goal, and when they get there, there's like a momentary yay, I got here, woo, but it fades, and then they're like, what do I do now? They chase another goal. And you'll often find that people who have spent their whole life going for a goal, and they've got there, and they're like, what do I do now? And can slip into a depression because they weren't being present. They were fixated on an end goal, and that ended, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
What else have I got? We've talked a little bit about mindfulness, so grounding techniques, tapping. Some people do tapping, using your senses. So what can you see? What can you smell? Body scan. So that's where you're being really present in your body. So you're can I feel my hair? Can I feel my mouth? Can I feel my shoulders? And just working your way down your body. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You're saying about your little mantra that you used to say.
Yeah.
I'm out. Yeah, go and say it again.
I am safe. I am healthy. I'm protected.
Yeah.
It's nice picture.
Yeah. One of the reasons that really works well is because output stops the input from your brain. And we naturally know this. Sometimes when people are embarrassed or whatever, they'll start to whistle. Have you not noticed? Like, oh, or they'll hum, or when they're uncomfortable, and it's because they're trying to escape their thoughts in their brain often. Sometimes people whistle because they're happy, but sometimes when people are uncomfortable, they'll whistle, and it's to try and take themselves out of their thoughts. So we naturally know these things work. So saying something distracts from what's going on in here. It puts a stop to it, and then you can start. First of all, you're just saying it, and you're just saying it and not really thinking about what you're saying. You're just saying it because you want to be out of the thought.
Yeah, it's that
and then
repetition.
You start to, but then you start to be in those words and start to feel safe and comfortable and grounded. Yeah. Shift to action. So if you're somebody who wants things to be perfect, or you're second guessing this, or is this the right decision? Is that right decision? It's make a small step in a direction, because taking an action takes you out of your thoughts. Action breaks that pattern of just
the only way out of fear is through it. And that's a fact. Do the thing. And oftentimes when I have a big decision, I will do it in the moment, or I'll set in a specific time for it. So I will give myself maybe that extra little bit of time if I need to tweak it a little bit, or think a little bit more. But I set that actual time or do it right now. So it's very important just to kind of, it's like ripping the band-aid off in a sense. It's just get it over and done with. And I swear, it's so funny, like, some things that we fear, like we're in such anxiety, and then we do it, we're like, oh my god, this is so much fun, why didn't I do it yesterday? So it's like we're over anxious about something that doesn't even exist, like, it's a fear of an unknown thing, but the unknown thing is actually something we really want to do.
Yeah, and often, like, even if we know that we're not going to enjoy something, but we know we have to do it, in our minds, it takes far longer than it actually does. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got to do the pots, but I really don't want to do the pots. And I'll probably spend more time thinking about I should do the pots, but I don't want to do them, than it actually takes to do the pots. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so it's the thought of something is always 10 billion times worse than doing it. Well, not always. There are some circumstances where it can be worse, but yeah, generally speaking, if you're sat there overthinking it, the reality of actually doing it is not going to be anything as bad as what's in your mind. And always, what is important is self-compassion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it. It's self-love and self-compassion. You know, you be kind to yourself because we're so hard on ourselves. We punish ourselves so much for not doing the thing or for worrying about the thing or doing the thing wrong or, you know, doing it imperfect. It's like we're so harsh with ourselves. We wouldn't be that way with somebody else. So the way I love, you know, we were doing this in our group the other day, is in that breaking the chains. It's like, how would you feel if somebody you loved was going through this?
Yeah.
You know, so see yourself like that. If somebody you loved was doing the thing that you were doing, how would you advise them? How would you be compassionate towards them? And then separate yourself from it and treat yourself as that other person. Because if you see yourself as the outsider, then you actually might treat yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, it's that removing yourself from being in the situation and seeing it from the outside a bit subjectively. Like, how would you deal with it? It's really, really helpful tool, isn't it? And actually, if you're overthinking that people think this about you and that about you and the other about you, self-compassion is definitely what you should be doing, because actually the reality of it is, unless somebody's actually said directly to you that you're this, you're that, and you're the other, it's probably because you think you are this and that and the other in your subconscious. Because when we have deep wounds, or we have doubts about ourselves, we're sneaky. We project them on other people and then think that they think it about us, and really it's us, and they probably don't even think that much about you. You know, that's the reality of it.
You
Everybody
have
else
to
in the
trigger me there, so
yeah.
you have to trigger some kind of stuff that I'm going through at the minute. I'm kind of just like, yeah, it makes so much sense that that's the way I feel about myself, and then I presume that people feel that. Yeah, you're ringing true here for me. So yeah,
Yeah, and well, and I do it, and it's funny actually because because I was definitely somebody who spent a lot of time projecting all my insecurities on what other people thought about me. And then probably because of my behavior making people think a little bit like that about me, you know, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because of your own behavior, because what you
yeah, that's it. You have to take responsibility for your side as well. Like, you know, are you allowing this to happen? You know, are you projecting it, but are you allowing it as well? Do you know what I mean? So it's, you know, it's just
But what's
completely
really interesting is, you know, once you snap out of that, and I'm not saying I never have those moments at all, but they're very few and far between compared to constant. That's what it used to be like. It used to be constantly overthinking, constantly thinking people didn't like me, constantly thinking people thought I was a terrible teacher and this and that and the other. And now I'm not in that situation. Now you just see it in other people sometimes when in the things that they're saying, and I was like, I don't really think they think that about you, you know? And I was just like, what? Sometimes I'm like, wow, that's you. I want to sit down and coach this person. I'm like, you've not been invited to do that, so you should probably just go, okay, and move on. But it's funny how you notice it in other people, don't you?
Yeah.
And they're completely unaware of it. They genuinely think that this other person thinks bad of them, and it's probably not the case at all, you know. So yes, self-compassion is really, really important. How can we build self-compassion? What things can we do regularly to make us be compassionate towards ourselves, Angela?
Just any kind of self-care, you know, anything that fills you up with joy, really. You know, but what makes you feel good? Going for a walk, spending time with your dogs or your children, or, you know, watching that nice movie, doing a little pamper, a little bubble bath or something like that. You know, anything that kind of fills you with joy. Just do that. Do anything. Just, it's like, give yourself that kind of metaphorical hug, you know,
Yeah.
and do the things that comfort you, that make you feel good. Yeah, exactly. You know, anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything like that, you know, just make sure and set time for your peace, for your alone time, your recharge. You know, anything that can just calm your mind, because you know, meditation doesn't have to be sitting there going on. You know what I mean? We can actually, meditation is anything like gardening, drawing, playing sports,
Yeah.
anything that you enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah. And also making sure that your words to yourself are compassionate. So it's, don't be judgmental of yourself, you know, like notice that perhaps you could have done something better, but don't attach a bad feeling to that. You know, it's like, well done for noticing, because I tell you what, there's a lot of people in the world that walk through life uh, and could do better, and are blissfully unaware that they could do better, and carry on in the same patterns, same cycles, probably blaming everybody else for all the misfortunes. So, you know, if you've spotted that perhaps you could have done better somewhere, that's feedback. It's not, you know, and you should be giving yourself it as feedback and going, well done me, I'm proud of myself for noticing that. And then it's, what do I do, how am I going to make it better, what am I going to change so that I'm better next time? And that's what a growth journey is all about, isn't it?
Self-awareness and taking responsibility for what you can do and what you can change.
So I like this quote by Bruce Lee. It says, you don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. And
I love
that links back to what we were saying about you know, trusting yourself to take an action. And it might be very small, but if you're taking action, taking steps, then it moves you out of that place where you're just thinking about stuff. So it could be that you're thinking about, overthinking your lesson planning, and you're like spotting yourself doing that and going, right, I'm going to send it in to the other teacher, or I'm going to hit send in an email to my phase leader or whatever, and go, that's it, it's done. Or just going, that's enough, and turning your laptop off. Those small steps is going, no, that's enough. You know, it's an action to get out of the thoughts. And we've said self-awareness. So a recap is, because we've got 10 minutes left, a recap is, it's normal to be overthinking. It's lots of people overthink. However, you can break free from it. You don't have to be stuck in this cycle of overthinking all the time. It's normal. Lots of people do it, but you don't have to live like that. And myself and Angela are living proof that you don't have to live. I was definitely an overthinker. Now I'm not. In fact, sometimes I'm a bit reckless in taking those steps these days. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna go for it anyway, and it'll all come together at the end.
Exactly. Have blind faith. It actually does work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, nothing bad's happened. Nothing bad's happened. You know, there's lessons been learned along the way, but lots of exciting things have happened, but only because I was able to just do it, not think about it, just do it. I'm just going to take the first step and work the rest of it out as I go along.
The path unfolds when you take the first step, and that's it. That's, you know, you'll see the way once you take action.
So building self-trust is important. So, like we say, those small steps, being courageous, stepping out of your comfort zone, being self-compassionate. So if something doesn't go as you had planned, see it as feedback, and how you can move forward from that, rather than go, oh, terrible me, I got it wrong, everyone's going to be thinking I'm rubbish and this and that and the other. And reframing is a great tool when you spot that thought. So how can I not necessarily flip it to be 100% positive? I mean, you can do if you feel comfortable doing that, but it's like debunking the negativity of it and changing it so that it is progressive. And shall we finish with a quote?
Yeah, I have one more quote here. The journey to peace begins with silencing the mind. So that's the most important thing. Take yourself into the moment, take those few deep breaths, do that little affirmation, bring yourself back to a quiet mind, and catch that first thought before the second one comes in. You know, get that back and whack it away, because that's the secret. You know, catch it when it comes, and then you won't spiral. So just self-awareness, that's just so important. Be aware of what you're thinking and how you can change it. And that's simple.
And the best tool for quieting the mind is meditation, in my opinion. But like we say, that's something that you would be doing all the time.
That's
and
a
it
long term
gains
thing, yeah.
over a long period of time. Not that long, to be fair, but it's not going to help you when you're in a spiral in that moment necessarily. So it's introducing some kind of meditation. There's lots of different types of meditation out there. But I use binaural beat ones because I still have a busy brain sometimes, but it's a nice busy brain, not a negative one. But so I found it hard to quieten my thoughts when I tried to meditate. And so binaural beats really help your brain sort of sink into it. It puts it into a brain wave of deep meditation. So it's so simple to get in the right calming state. But you can do sleep didn't you say?
Yeah, and sleep meditation to reprogram the mind. So literally press play and go to sleep. And that's the beauty of it. Like, you know, as I said, in the moment we can do those little things to stop the overthinking. But if you want a long-term cure, in a sense, for overthinking, it's sleep meditation can, you know, literally cure your mind or reprogram your mind while you're asleep. So it is actually effortless. And after say long-term practice, you're going to notice a permanent result of the overthinking once you keep up there.
Yeah, and not just, it doesn't, so my results are, not only did it cure my anxiety and stop my overthinking, and I don't mean just like when I'm in meditation, I mean like everyday life I stopped overthinking, but I was also able to separate myself very clearly from my thoughts. So I used to think I was my thoughts, and you're not your thoughts, they're just thoughts. And so separating them and having that separation in meditation then makes you so able to have the separation in your busy life and noticing those patterns that you have. But so it cured my anxiety and my depression.
Same here. It's the same for
Also
me.
supercharged me to just take crazy risks, I guess. Well, it weren't crazy risks, but if you'd asked me, you know, a year before, would I be doing the things that I'm doing, the Great British Martial Arts team and fighting in front of people, I didn't think I'd ever be able to. I was so self-conscious. I wouldn't want to get in front of an audience and perform in front of someone, you know. Being on a camera, you know, leading in our little coaching group, and talking on Zoom there.
Yeah, even for me as well, for the camera, I shared a reel from last year with you the other day, and it's just like, and I saw another one today. It's just, I was so nervous even just a year ago, and just with that, you know, pushing through that fear, the two of us have become so confident doing these lives, and you doing the coaching group, you know, everything. Like, and I did the shine last week. You know, my first visualization in a child visualization in a group setting. I was just like, wow, you know, to do these things, we're actually transforming so much because we're continuously practicing meditation and practicing,
and that allows you to feel able to push without it being scary, I guess. Like,
and that's it. Remember, you actually said it to me. It's like, do you want to shine next week? I said, Jesus, no, I wouldn't be able for that. And then a few minutes later, I text back and goes, actually, maybe, because I just clicked straight away. I was like, she said this for a reason, so I'm not going to say no to this. I literally, I was like, I'm not ready, and then I was like, maybe I am ready.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that in situations, and I still have situations like that, you know, where I still get triggered by things, and you're like your old self, but only for a split second. You're like, or either angry or panicking or scared or, oh, I'm not good enough. And you have that thought, you have that moment, but you're just like, you catch it and you're like, oh no, that's not true. That's the old me. I'm the new me. And it just it makes you able, it just opens so many possibilities. I think that's another thing that I noticed is I just saw opportunity. I was somebody who never saw opportunities, and like I say, if I did see one, I'd slam it shut because I was like, oh, that's not for me. But generally I didn't see opportunities, but then all these opportunities seem to just pop up. So yeah, I cannot recommend meditation enough. I think we say that every time, don't we?
It is a miracle cure. It really is. Like, I haven't taken. I used to be on depression and anxiety medication throughout my 20s. I went to therapy and all kinds of stuff. Nothing ever worked. Meditation has worked. I don't take any medication. I don't need therapy anymore. You know, and I've been, you know, and that's 7 years now that I've been doing meditation, and I'm transformed because of it.
Yeah. So if you want to do if you want to do something today that tomorrow next year will thank you for, next week actually, I think you can feel the effects in just a week, then start meditating today. There's lots on YouTube.